This presentation focuses to guide to project management and contract management. I am Sarath Muthugala and I am a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka and work in the government and the private sector for more than 35 years. Although I am qualified in finance and accounting, my core expertise is with the public procurement and contract management. I work as a director procurement in the former National Procurement Agency in Sri Lanka and also subsequently as a senior procurement specialist at the Asian Development Bank, where I gained enormous knowledge on contract management and public procurement. Today, I am presenting the guide to project management and contract management, the document published in the website of the Department of Public Finance under the Ministry of Finance of Sri Lanka. This brief presentation focuses to explain the content of the guide and request the listeners to review the guide for detailed explanation and application. The contract management is an important subject for any country, especially for developing nations. In 2014, with the Asian Development Banks support and the dedicated technical assistance, which was then managed by me in ADB, a team of local and international consultants commenced the preparation of this guide to project management and contract management and published same in this site of the Department of Public Finance under the Ministry of Finance of the Government of Sri Lanka in 2016. It is important to acknowledge the support extended by Director General, Department of Public Finance under the Ministry of Finance of Sri Lanka in publishing this guide, and also the excellent knowledge sharing initiative taken by Mr. Thomas Borola, the Chief of Party, and his team under USAID assisted STAIR project. Any delay in contract implementation has cost implication on the project, as well as most instances the delay results in depriving the beneficiaries to have the services or facility as planned. The need a guide for project management and contract management, or usually we say GPMCM, has been an important subject in the past, and the government of Sri Lanka and the development partners were discussing this subject in a decade. As a result, the GPMCM was developed and published as an official publication under the Department of Public Finance under the Ministry of Finance of Sri Lanka website in 2017, and henceforth all government officers are expected to follow this GPMCM as a guide for contract management purposes. In this short presentation, I will explain overview of condition of contracts used in the public sector, civil works project, rationale of GPMCM, advantages of using guide for GPMCM, how GPMCM help public organization for contract management, and condition with key areas covered in GPMs in brief. Any standard contract document in civil works contract contain, apart from the employer's requirement, mainly information and definition in management of contracts in various and different situations, the process and application of the due procedures in given circumstances with due results and action to be taken, and mode and how the communication required to be carried out in various events and occasions. These three segments are detailed in the GPMCM in three sections, which are detailed later. Before I start the process, it is important that I explain in brief the key contracts document used in the government of Sri Lanka, so for civil works contracts. As explained in the slides, in Sri Lanka, capital project initiative initiated by government are either financed by the government own revenue budget and bilateral financing or multilateral development bank financing, which is commonly known as MDBs. ADB and the World Bank finance project uses several contract documents for various types of civil works contract, and some of them are for civil works contract based on measure and pay and financed by ADB and the World Bank, we call it WB, commonly used FIDIC Pink Book, which is termed as MDB version of the FIDIC Red Book. Secondly, for the plant design and build project uses the condition of contract developed by the Engineers Advanced Association of Japan. Usually, we name them as INA condition of contracts. Thirdly, for works design and build project, we use FIDIC Yellow Book. For design, build and operate project, MDBs use FIDIC Gold Book. For turnkey project, the MDBs use FIDIC Silver Book. For small civil work contract less than $10 million on measure and pay or lump sum contract uses small works document. The Gold Book is used when the employer does not have knowledge, expertise and competent staff to carry out the operation and maintenance function in certain special projects such as desalination plant and FIDIC EPC turnkey. From the contract, the FIDIC Silver Book is intended for EPC turnkey projects. Under this form of contract, the contractor assumes responsibility for wider range of risks than the Red Book and Yellow Book. If the contractor is to carry out such risks, the employer must provide him time and opportunity to obtain and consider all relevant information before the contractor is asked to sign on fixed contract price. Out of the several conditions of contract used in Sri Lanka in the public tendering process, in most instances the FIDIC Pink Book, Multi-Lateral Development Bank harmonized edition version we namely uses, is intended to use for construction of building and engineering work designed by the employer and funded by the major MDBs in Sri Lanka. Pink Book is based on FIDIC Red Book, and the FIDIC Pink Book imposes stricter obligation standards on both the employer and the contractor. Also, the section 5.3.1 of the National Procurement Guideline and the manual linked to the National Procurement Guidelines stipulate the use of 4 types of civil work document approved by the Construction Industry Development Agency, or we call them CIDA, formerly known as ICTAD, for the government finance project and some donor funded civil works project. They are ICTAD SPD1 works contract, which is used medium scale domestic contracts, works designed by the employer, contract administration is carried out by the engineer appointed by the employer. Under these there are 64 clauses and general conditions are similar to ADB and World Bank small works document. Secondly, ICTAD STB2 major works contract intended for major works designed by the employer and contract administration is carried out by an engineer. FIDIC Red Book 99 version with some modifications are used by the ICTAD. ICTAD SBD3 minor works contract intended for small works contract designed by the employer. Contract administration is carried out by an engineer. There are 14 clauses as general condition of contract. ICTAD SBD4, which is the last and important standard SBD, is design build contract intended for a DB design build contract with works designed by the contractor and contract administration is carried out by an engineer appointed by the employer. FIDIC Yellow Book 99 is used with some modification by the CIDA. Now, if you look at the slides, the project life cycle is depicted in the diagram. The contract management falls on the project implementation and the completion stage. Therefore, the several other activities falls on the other segment of the project life cycle and they are not discussed in this presentation and also in the GPMCM. As we all know, the government of Sri Lanka has implemented large number of projects and most projects experience cost overruns and delays due to various reasons. Most of the projects delays due to lapses in contract management according to the published information. Project financed by ADB in the recent past, which are earmarked to complete within 3 years, has taken average time of more than 6 years. It signifies the importance of this subject. And also the delays in project completion result cost escalation in project and finally deprive the public the use of facilities and also underutilizing of foreign funds. One of the key reasons for such delay is insufficient capacity of the project staff. in contract management, especially in dispute resolution and claim management and also in contract monitoring. Considering these needs, the GPMCM has been developed and the web link for GPMCM is mentioned in the slide, and the viewers can freely download the document. It could be replicated as per the different needs of any jurisdiction of your own country. GPMCM intended to provide procedural guidance to the staff involved in the contract management of the Government of Sri Lanka, primarily adapting similar principles to FIDIC MDB version 2010, namely Pink Book 2010. Broader content of the GPMCM includes Section 1, Introduction Principle and Concept of Contract Management, and the Section 2, Contract Management and Procedures, and thirdly the Section 3, Forms and Format of the GPMCM. GPMCM is intended to be used by the project staff involved in managing contract as employer representative, engineer and his representative and assistant, and also higher level of management of the executing implementation and participate in the contract management and training program like this. Section 1 of the GPMCM includes detail of contract management procedures, key principles of contract management activities, letter of acceptance, contract agreement, document considering the contract, commencement of contract, employer financial arrangement, appointment of the engineer, defect notification period, contract performance, contract responsibilities, employees' rights, performance certificates, closing of contract, key contract administration to be performed by the engineer, payment verification by the engineer, and also main responsibilities of the engineer, monitoring performance, payment verification by the engineer, withholding of payments, contract variation management, dispute resolution, maintenance of contract administration files, construction supervision and quality assurance, limitations of engineer's functions, termination of contract, termination by default, force majeure clauses, failure to comply with the notice to correct, notice of termination, contract closing process, contract termination, contract and contract variation management. Also, concept of contract, arbitration act, standard forms of contract, comparison of major features of different forms of contract, and also different type of books like red book, pink book, silver book, gold book and yellow book, which I explained in FIDIC, and also INA condition of contract, and also the green book and the different among the different condition of contract of the FIDIC condition of contract. Now, I will explain you how GPMCM help organization project and contract management. It defines responsibility and authority for specific contract management. It ensures compliance with the contractual obligation when carrying out the contract management functions. It ensures uniformity in contract management activities among different projects in different organizations, and it prevents recurrence of problems through amending of procedures to include corrective measures and provide opportunities for application of lessons learned. It facilitates training of project staff in contract management, enhancing the ability to apply proper contract management principles and practices. Also adapt as a part of the procedure manual in organization to establish quality assurance and quality management, quality control manuals. It improves the ability to project staff to take action efficiently and respond the contractual correspondence promptly in accordance with the terms of the contract. It assists the project staff to safeguard employees' interests and fulfill contractual obligation of the employer, avoiding unnecessary claims, delays and additional costs and disputes. The implementation agency, it helps to implement agency to complete the contract within the time period provided and within the budget allocated and the quality specified. Although this guide is published in the Department of Public Finance under the Ministry of Finance, government staffs are requested to consider this project and contract management guide, and it does not supersede any provision in the signed contract, procurement guideline or any circulars issued by the government institution. This is only applicable for management of infrastructure project undertaken by the government. Direction, suggestion and recommendation included in these guides are meant only for design, construction and operation of public sector development project and are not appropriate for other type of contracts such as supply and service contract. This GPMCM only covers the contract execution stage, which is from the issuing of letter of acceptance to the closing out the contract and issuing performance certificate. Now, if I explain little more about the procedure for the contract management manual section 2, the section 2 of the GPMCM provides systems of procedures structured to follow the flow of activities in a typical contract by identifying such important activities in each stage and describing each in a contractual context, including likely scenarios which may arise and providing direction on action to manage such situation. As I mentioned earlier in my presentation, any civil works contract has a different contract management procedures for different situations. These procedures are varied according to the complexity of the contract. Contract structured under FIDIC Pink Book has several contract procedures and the team has identified 69 such procedures which need action plan for each such procedures. Though these procedures are explained using the FIDIC Pink Book, almost the same procedures could be applied to other standard FIDIC based condition of contract and ICTAD based condition of contract, which are based on FIDIC Red Book and Yellow Book for similar procedures, or condition of contract based on inner condition of contract may be with some modifications. Contract management procedures include GPMCM under section 2 prepare to provide guidance to the users in management of day-to-day contract functions efficiently and effectively. The 69 procedures contained in under section 2 is categorized under 4 contract stages representing contractual requirement as well as certain good practices representing mobilization stage, execution stage, completion stage and dispute resolution process. Each procedure has a references to contract conditions, procurement and other guidance issued by the government and legal references to ensure any direction issued by the engineer to the contract for each situation which complies with all requirements. These procedures are explained in slides which goes CA1 to CA69 and starting from the letter of acceptance award, formation of contract, handing over the documents, reviewing of draft contract and drafting, signing of contract agreement and orientation training contract and commencement of contract. Evidence of the employer's financial management, appointment of the engineer, delegation of engineer's authority, establishment of the document, commencement, the correspondence, handing of the site. Also, these procedures are explained in the slides from CA8 to CA69 and as it is explained, all the procedures in the contract implementation and management is included in these slides and it is included in the GPMCM. And you can see that review of insurance and from that advance payment, appointment of the subcontractors, appointment of nominated subcontractors, approval of the materials and also access to the acceptance of the contractors monthly statement and all these procedures are explained. This procedures covers all the procedures involved in contract administration and management until the performance certificate is issued and also adjudication and amicable settlement and arbitration in dispute resolution also explained. Section 3 is a very important segment which is the last section of the GPMCM. Also each procedure has a standard templates for letters and directions and responses usually issued by the engineer for each procedure which was explained in section 2 to the contractor. This standard template assists and ensures the engineer does not have to fish for the templates, and also possibility of making mistake is minimized as all templates are prepared considering all contractual precautions. And it implements the standard procedures in government sector in the contract management for each situation, and government officer is protected for his contract implementation action against any allegation and complaints. These include different type of formats and templates recommended to be used for each situation of procedure. Therefore, project staff do not have to spend time to prepare template for given circumstances, and it also facilitates them to harmonize their contract management communication using those formats included in GPMCM. There are 113 templates and formats for 69 contract procedures, and they will be uploaded early to the Department of Public Finance website under the Ministry of Finance website in Sri Lanka. This ends my presentation on the guide to project management and contract management, and I request all public officers who are involved in contract management in the government finance project to review and familiarize the GPMCM well before taking the task of implementing any public sector finance civil works project, mainly as this guide could be considered as the single place of reference document for contract management, and it is very much useful especially for the engineer to contract and his assistant in the management of contract.